Alright, so welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Students of S.H.I.E.L.D. Chronicles. This is going to be the official episode 1, I guess, of this series. And I figured I'd take this time to kind of talk a little bit about my background before the formation of the club and where I kind of, got the inspiration to make the club. So I think this is probably some common knowledge to most students of S.H.I.E.L.D. members at this point, but if not, I guess I'll put it down here as official statement for the record how it came to be. But so throughout, I guess, my background with Marvel, throughout high school, I wasn't really a huge Marvel fan. I went and saw Avengers when I was in high school, and I saw Iron Man 3 when I graduated high school in my senior year. So that was really cool, and that, I think, honestly, the peak of my Marvel fandom, throughout high school before college probably came around my senior year when I saw Iron Man 3, and seeing that movie kind of solidified Iron Man as like one of my favorite characters in Marvel lore, I guess. But, I kind of carried that admiration for Marvel into my freshman year of college, where I was an architecture major for the first half of my freshman year of college. Didn't really like it, wasn't really doing good in it, so I transferred out into engineering, where I actually hung out more with people on my floor that were going through the same classes, and we kind of studied together. And we ended up actually really, coming together and enjoying Marvel. I remember my roommate at the time, Steve, my roommate, or my dorm mates that were like down the halls from me. One of them, his name was Adam. We called him Pons. And I remember spring semester of my freshman year, he got Lego Marvel superheroes on the Xbox One. I remember he had it in his room, and I remember when I'd come home from classes, and every Friday I would go over to his dorm, since he was right next door to us, and we would play Lego Marvel superheroes. He and I kind of just plowed through the whole story mode in one night. And I remember the next day he would come over to my dorm and we would play Super Mario Galaxy. So a little tangent aside, but playing Lego Marvel superheroes kind of got me back into Marvel as well. And I remember that semester, that was the year, that was the spring of 2014. So that spring we had Captain America Winter Soldier come out in April, and then shortly after that in May we had The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone be released. So I remember going to see Winter Soldier with Adam, Mark, his roommate, my roommate Steve, and Ed Miller, who some people might know in the club. He was also a dorm mate of mine who lived down the hall in a single dorm, which I was always jealous of. He had it decked out. It was immaculate setup. I was always jealous of that. But Ed was also very much into Marvel as well, probably more so than I did. He was kind of the first person that introduced me to the whole concept of like phases and other plans for other movies. I wasn't really up to date with a lot of that stuff until I did my own research, but I remember him telling me about the Guardians of the Galaxy movie that was coming out in August. I remember seeing the first trailer when it dropped that semester as well. But honestly, my first real getting idea of what the MCU was probably came with seeing Captain America Winter Soldier. And that movie was just amazing. I remember seeing it in the theaters, all of us thinking that Nick Fury was dead, when in real life he really wasn't. Yeah, that was really good. And then later on we would end up going to see Amazing Spider-Man 2, where I can still remember sitting in that theater watching Emma Stone fall to her death and break her neck, and me putting my hands on my head being like, no, what the fuck, or something along those lines, while all my other friends laughed at me. And And I think, honestly, the inspiration of this club hit me when we were driving back from Amazing Spider-Man 2. I remember it so vividly. We were driving back and we were cruising along College Ave and we were coming into the city and we were driving up the road and, I don't know if I said it aloud or not, but I just thought to myself, I'm like, wouldn't this be cool to do with a bunch of people? And I wasn't trying to denounce or, lessen the fun that I had with the people I was with at the time, but I just thought to myself, how many more people in State College were doing the same thing we were that night? I mean, I would probably say not a lot, but there's people out there who are all probably trying to find someone to go see this movie with and have discussions with. I know personally for me, whenever I go to see a movie now, it's not the same because I don't get that chance to kind of like gorge over all the details and things anymore like I used to with the club because my parents aren't really into that as much as I am. But I remember talking so much about the movie, what future implications it had, and I thought to myself, I'm like, this is awesome. I wish I could do this all the time. I wish I had a group of people that we could talk about this all the time and not just for that night or the night after. So I think that's honestly where the club kind of, the ideas started to churn. And later on, we would see people like Pons and Ed take positions in my, I guess you can call, cabinet of officers for the first semester because, thinking back to those times, I knew that they loved Marvel just as much as I did, and they enjoyed seeing the movies and discussing the movies as much as I did. So, but yeah, that would carry over into the summer, where I would go to see Guardians of the Galaxy, and this was between my freshman and sophomore year of college, and seeing Guardians of the Galaxy just solidified for me, the soundtrack, just the ragtag group of people that I came to grow to love in that movie. I still remember seeing that movie with my family the first night, basically begging my parents to go take me to see that movie because no one knew who the Guardians were. And I still remember at the end of the movie, when the credits were rolling, my dad popped out of his chair and yelled over to me and said, "Dan, that was probably one of the best Marvel movies I've seen in a while." And, it just continued to generate this excitement that I built around the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Marvel movies, and how much I cherished those moments, regardless of who I was with, to watch those movies. And I think that is what would fuel me to look into creating a club like this for the next semester. So on a cliffhanger, I will leave you with that. The next episode will probably discuss more about how the club was formed, the settings, the implications behind that. But I feel like putting the backstory behind my freshman year was something that I think would be necessary to discuss the motivation behind the club's formation. So that rhymed. Anyway, thanks to you guys for listening, and check me out on the next episode. Bye.